you, Dr. Chaturvedi, for such nice and kind words. Absolutely. Sometimes I wonder if I can live up to that in my talk, so that at the end of the day, what you deliver and what people take away is what people remember.
जी,
Thank you once again for those
thank
nice.
you.
Uh, Mr. Jaipuria, always a pleasure to hear you. What a beautiful context you have said. And in my talk, Mr. Jaipuria, you'd be happy that, to hear a traditional company like ours, Havells, and I'm using some examples from there, how we have, kind of transformed ourselves. And at least what you have asked of the industry, I think in small measures, they're already doing in some bits and pieces, and you'll see some reflections of that. Mr. Roy Chaudhary, great pleasure to kind of interact with you. Mr. Ravi Chandran, Dr. Mishra, all the faculty members of this great institution, and my dear students, as well as all the colleagues from the industry who have joined in for this talk. Let me share my screen. I have a few thoughts, and actually these are not, kind of a big PPT or anything. These are 5 stories that I want to pick up from, what we are doing in this digital journey, and in a way provoke you, right? In a way instigate you to see, how in non-traditional areas as well, while we all know of the Amazons and the Facebooks and, Apples of the world, which is more glamorous part, how in a non-glamorous, very brick and mortar stuff, we can incorporate technology and digital learning and move a step forward. So let me share my screen without much ado. If somebody can give me a thumbs up saying that my screen is shared. Okay, great. Thank you. So, great to be part of this conference, and I hope I can live up to this, title of, conference chair and keynote, and hope to share some key takeaways. Actually, having been from one of the, Dr. Chaturvedi missed out on another great institution that I've been a part of, that is the Jaipuria School of Kanpur. And hence, since I'm attending a conference, addressing a conference of Jaipuria Business School, I think I can take the liberty of sharing my own life story. This, in a way, is my life story in terms of how through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 2010s, the progress has been made on the digital landscape, right? People like, Utyo, myself, and maybe also if I can count Ravi Chandran, Mr. Ravi Chandran in this, we have lived this life. We have seen this transition from a paper and pen to the, DEC 10 computer of IIT Kanpur supercomputer, and then moving on to desktop computers, laptops, and then moving to a digital, small little space, and then moving into a sixth sense kind of a revolution. So this is the journey which is inevitable. You really, and in a way, friends, let me just point to the screen back, and I really want to show, I don't know if my cursor is visible, but your logo, which is up there, your logo says, Tamso Ma Jyotirgmay. So this is in a way a journey of taking from a darkness towards light. And every time newer and newer technologies emerge, it's humanity's small step towards light, right? So please, and probably I haven't heard of a better saying to put it, other than Tamso Ma Jyotirgmay, which takes you towards that. They will pick up speed. When this crisis, and let me take this topic of today's reimagining business in terms of the present day crisis. As early as, as late as probably the January of last year, we were all sitting in boardrooms discussing digital transformation. We need to do it. It's absolutely essential. We would have coffees around a round table and discuss, little realizing there is kind of a disruption heading our way. And by the way, we were warned every day, while driving at home, there's a rear view mirror which very clearly says everything is closer than it appears, right? So we were warned every day. It's just that we didn't realize that it was in the context of our business, right? So let me just pose a quiz to you. Who led, and for the people who are in the business field, who led digital transformation in your company? Was it the CEO, the CTO? You know, without much ado, let me give you the third option. And I have no doubt that you will agree for that. It was COVID who was our biggest CTO, biggest CIO, who taught us. Just to pick up an example from my company, Microsoft Teams is what, a software we took up, which is a collaborative software, much like Zoom, etc. And it had been there for 2 years with a percentage of about 5 to 7% people using it for conferences and interactions and all. Come COVID and lockdown, within 3 weeks, 95% of the people were on MS Teams. What my CIO and CTO couldn't achieve in almost 2 years of the journey, COVID did it in 3 weeks. Terrible pandemic to kind of make us realize that this is the reality. So having said this context, let me just say that what the world leaders have learned as a result in the digital journey as a result of this. Today, almost 80% of the world leaders want to accelerate their drive to. Despite Mr. Jaipuria would agree with me that in the initial phases, what a loss one would face, and we were all very uncertain that when will the economy start, and what are the kind of costs. So all of a sudden, what the business did, they tightened their belts, they cut down their costs, etc. But one cost is something that they did not take a cut on, was digital. Because people started realizing that more and more we invest in digital, we will get savings and we will get efficiencies. We will get, better, convenient ways of working if we were to continue investing in the digital. Companies are, let me just be mindful of the time. Yeah. So companies are spending close to about 1.4 trillion on crowd related, and I'm sure Uthio would be a better person, having been in this industry and been an administrator and educationist, to guide us more. And this, by the way, is a Massachusetts University study, which kind of I'm a data point that I'm sharing. So the point here is that it took a crisis for us to realize that digital journey is inevitable, and it's not only nice, but it is very, very essential, right? So it's unfortunate, but at least for the digital drive, it did what it needed to do. Let me come to the 4 stories that I had thought I'd share. What, how, and where this crisis can take this forward. So it's both on the business side. So the customer and business process would lie in the space of reimagining businesses, and the employees and the partner part would in a way be a part of the reskilling workforces and reskilling people. The first story is all about deeper into home. On the left side, you would see, so, and again, I'm using Havells as an example, and many of you who have interacted and with Havells products know that almost 90% of the sockets house can be filled in by Havells products, which are ranging from wear to consumer durables, etc. But what we were seeing in the past world, in the pre-COVID, or let's say, why only COVID, but before that, people were using physical instruments, physical devices. So there was a mixer grinder, there was a fan, there was a washing machine, etc. But they were very physical kind of things, and people would interact with those appliances as they would in a physical world. More and more, what this crisis told us, that we had to move into the digital interface and digital interaction of all the devices. And hence all the devices, I don't know if my cursor is visible, but all the devices started interacting with each other, and people wanted, a digital solution to the whole thing. So today, even my mother, who's an 84-year-old person, would want to, you make use of her programs, etc., on a digital medium. My son would want a virtual, kind of interface for all his own devices. By, myself, I can't say my wife, but I self, when I'm doing my laundry and all, I would like to program it and, kind of do it at a certain time, which is convenient to me. So all of the devices have certainly become connected. So this is story number one. And not only in our houses, offices where the journey had already started some time back, right? For the digital, where connected lighting. By the way, all of a sudden, even in the crisis, what we saw, the demand of sensor control equipment almost, kind of quadrupled for us. What people were wanting was that completely non-interface of human, thing. And it made sense from an energy perspective as well. If people are not there, the lights are off, and only in warehouses, let me take a name since it's a closed discussion. We were in discussion with Amazon, and Amazon said that, all our warehouses, and we are in the spree of increasing our warehouse presence, etc. Can we have all our warehouses connected with our, with sensor controls, etc. So this was already happening. The homes things is what got initiated, and lo and behold, the two also came together to provide a smart office, smart home office kind of a thing. So everything is moving, has got accelerated towards the journey of a smart home office. So this is story number one. And an example of that is, again, we put in a lot of data of humidity and temperature control that was available countrywide into a chip in our AC. And depending on where our AC would get sold, we called it an IntelliLogic air conditioner. And, the upper chart here, is mostly digital jargons. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of technologies came together. Just like when you interact with an Apple, you don't see technology in it, but don't mistake, there's a lot of years and years and years of, work that has gone inside to make that interface so seamless, so natural for you, right? So similarly, a lot of technology, goes behind to make an interface of an appliance very, very smart. So here is a very, very clear example of how the technology has been used towards, kind of making things digitally very, very convenient, and the interface becomes very seamless. Moving to my story number two, we all knew that Facebooks and WhatsApp were, and Mr. Jaipuria shared some data points as well. Everybody was using. But what we saw during the crisis was that there was an increased demand of digital content. Again, an example of my 84-year-old mother, all of a sudden TV watching stopped, and everything moved to the OTT platforms. And here she discovered that she could choose the programs at her will, right? Rather than being governed for a 7 to 8 and an 8 to 9 kind of a show, everything was by will and by design, and she had better control over her time. Online gaming, kind of took off like never before, and many, many more examples of that. In defense of time, I'd skip that, and especially for India, let me share this, and Mr. Jaipuria shared a lot of statistics on how the digital consumption moved up. One of the things that was really beneficial for India was online searches for household care, personal care, fresh food. We are a very outwardly going society, right? So all of a sudden, when COVID hit us and lockdown happened, we had to relearn the way we would do business. A lot of these, channels, etc., were being served for personal care, healthcare, fresh foods, packaging, which was something which was new for us. What did this lead to? This led to a lot of online consumption. And here's my, kind of story number two, where online platform, we realized that people are moving in the electrical industry towards an online platform, right? But in electrical industry, one of the insights is that people don't want to buy goods online because they're not very sure about the quality. What if my fan was to go wrong? What if my AC was to go wrong? Where is that faceless Amazon or a Flipkart that I will go to? right? I still would prefer for my local Gupta electric store to, kind of give me that kind of service. So what we did was we married the online. So the customer could give a order on the online, but the fulfillment would happen from our dealer community and our own franchisee stores that are almost about 500 of them spread across the country, and our dealer community of close to about three to 3,500 dealers across the country. So within a maximum distance of 2 to 3 kilometers, a person will be, kind of fulfilled with his demand. So it was coming together of an online to offline to an online platform. So this married the two needs that our trade community was very happy because nobody was walking in and they started getting orders, and our customers were happy because they were still getting stuff from a very physical store rather than a faceless internet platform, right? Moving on to the story number 3. Now, what happens is that, we generally feel that digitization is happening in products, etc. Some of the areas, and this is an example why I specifically picked up supply chain management as an example, because, this is where digitization helped a process improve and efficiency improve. So, you're all management students, what supply chain means, typically bringing demand and supply together from a planning perspective, and then making sure through the logistics that it goes to the customer in the most efficient manner, right? Ensuring customer delight. So this is, in a nutshell, is supply chain management. Just to give an example of what is the scale Havells handled, and this is important not from an advertising perspective for Havells. It is important for you to understand when COVID hit us where we were at that point. We do close to about 600 product heads involved in the forecasting of demand. We have close to 8,000 customers and about the statistics. And on the supply side, we have about 25 distribution points, 75 odd plants and distribution areas that we did. This is just to set the scale right. So when COVID hit us, what you saw all across the papers was truckers was striking. They were leaving the trucks and moving away because nobody knew that, where would the next, what would happen next, right? Food prices started jumping up, etc., etc. So what really was our situation at the time and why we could survive is the main learning here. So our situation was that we had over 600 container worth of goods lying on the streets. Goods in transit was about a value of 170 crores, 350 trucks on the roads, and invoices or shipments about 9,000. At the same time, when COVID started, when lockdown started easing up, there was a demand of a certain kind of products, right? So we had orders from hospitals, we had ordered from warehouses, we had orders from some of the government, run factories which were allowed to run. So we had to modulate our demand to those specific goods which were needed in that sector. At the same time, as I told you earlier, our cost was being, kind of hit. So we, actually had to negotiate rentals and costs, etc. Why we could survive, friends, was because, in this chart, when there was uncertainty on the supply side and uncertainty on the demand side, it was because of the agility of our supply chain. And some of the examples of which were we had already done a calendarization of events. So we knew when, let us say, Haridwar Kavod Yatra would happen, our Haridwar factory supplies would be done. So we had done a digital analysis of the same and said that how much before that we would want our supply chain to be, kind of de-peaked, peaks would have to be handled so that it could be distributed. We had a smart inventory build up. We had a very, very strong make versus buy kind of a thing. So while we were, buying from vendors, some part of it, we had kept it ready in our own factories that should the need arise, we could do, we could manufacture within our own factories also rather than outsourcing the stuff. There was so much of within 48 hours, we knew exactly where each of our 9,000 odd invoices were. And in the next 72 hours, we took care that all our goods, either could be transshipped or sent to various places, etc. I think, I'm running out of time, so I'll pick up speed and take the last one. This topic would probably be, this is the story number 4 and the last story, where, once a very good anecdote where a CFO asked the CEO, what happens if we invest in people, right? And they leave. The CEO says that, have you ever calculated the cost if we don't train people and they stay back? Right. So sometimes, it's the perspective which makes a lot of difference. And this is an example of how, when the crisis hit us, how we use the digital media. And this is, again, MS Office Teams example that I'm saying. We brought all the 3 elements of our, complete business together in terms of employees, partners, and processes. How was we held those trainings? And and in a traditional industry, again, addressing Mr. Jaipuria's question about a traditional industry, transforming, this Mr. Jaipuria is a very good example of how a very, very traditional industry, like an electrical hardware kind of an industry, transformed itself almost overnight by getting into Microsoft Teams, doing trainings, doing review meetings, even to the extent we increased our communication, our chairman's address to both our employees as well as our partners. The people who know Havells also know that we are an extremely partner-centric company. For us, profit and profitability and peace of mind of partners is the most important reason of our existence. So both to the partners and to the employees, there was a digital interface by our chairman. So this provided everybody with a lot of confidence. And these are these platforms were always available. It wasn't as if, we discovered them overnight, but they were always available. So coming back to, what this crisis actually, accelerated the process. And I have a, kind of a theory to it. We took care of our customers, and always, friends, later discussions also, you have a lot of exciting discussions coming up. Always keep customer and the problem that you are solving first. Digital and technology is an enabler, right? Start always from the customer problem, like we started in the, deeper into homes kind of a concept. Online is here to stay, you like it or not. If you are not going to change, customers is certainly changing. I mean, there are examples of, a 78-year-old uncle who changed completely from physical payments to an online payment, right? So every house has these examples. Virtual is here to stay. The kind of way in which we handled our entire work, employees as well as our partners through a virtual medium, work from home, even in traditional industries like ours, is becoming a reality. And we are realizing not only it's efficient, it's cost effective as well. Right? Innovation can come in, from any quarters, right? So the example of supply chain management that I gave in defense of time, I dropped a very, very exciting example of our after sales service, wherein, we taught our customers to mend their own equipment because nobody was wanting the service personnel to come to their places, right? We wanted everybody, hame bata do aap, and so we created a lot of these videos and also online mechanism where they could service and repair their own stuff. And innovation in supply chain is what I shared about. And last and not the least, the world is changing on digital. Are you ready for that? If you guys can't remember this, remember that, COVID was always there, and this is what COVID left you with. In the end, we are all analog beings living in a digital world, facing quantum, kind of. Thanks so much, and look forward to more interactions in the